Thank you for tuning in to AlyiV.com. We have Tara from Love and Hip Hop. Tara, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Just explain to me how you got started and, what was your life before Love and Hip Hop and then once you actually aired on Love and Hip Hop?
Well, before Love and Hip Hop, I was, I'd had 2 children.
Mm-hmm.
I was working full-time, managing in a restaurant in the meatpacking district. And, while working, you know what I mean, it's kind of like I still had a dream.
Right.
And I can't say that, that dream had died and I had just kind of accepted. I still wanted to be acting, which was the dream and what I moved here for and went to graduate school for, undergrad, graduate school. But family, life happened.
Right.
I had 2 little boys. Once you have children, it's kind of like, not that what you want to do doesn't, have some precedence in your life, but when you have children, they become the most important thing.
Right. How did you meet Peter?
I was working at a store called Sam Ash.
Right, yeah.
And I met Peter. He came in Sam Ash one day to purchase something. And it was like a Sunday, and I rang him up for something, and I'm like, people do stuff over there. I didn't know, he was just another customer to me.
Right.
And I didn't think anything in particular until he'd left the store, and his sales associate was like, "We just rang up Peter Gunz." And I'm like, "Who's that?" And then all the girls were like, "Tara." And I'm like, "Who's Peter Gunz?" You know what I mean? It didn't really mean anything to me.
Right.
I thought I messed up, or maybe he thought I was nasty or something.
Right.
Talking shit.
Uh-huh.
And he was like, well, he asked me to give you his number. Which is like a big no-no for me. I'm like, he doesn't even have balls enough to pull me to the side and be like, oh.
Talk to me himself.
Oh yeah, just say hello, how are you? Mm-hmm. And so that's how I originally met him. One day cleaning out my purse. I never called him. Mm-hmm. Then one day I was cleaning out my purse and I ran across the number. And I was like, let me just call this guy in case he comes in again. I could say, no, I did call you. And I called and he picked up. And it was just like, hey, it's Tarnasha, Sam Ash, what's up? And that's kind of how it started.
Now, fast forward to the Love and Hip Hop. When you guys had the opportunity, what was the conversation that he had with you in telling you that he wanted you to be a part of Love and Hip Hop?
That conversation was very simple.
Mm-hmm.
It was, Peter had done a few episodes the season before with Rich. And so for the upcoming season, he said, I'm kind of thinking about doing Love and Hip Hop because they seem interested.
Okay.
So I was like, if this is what he wants to do, being that, things have been a little slow for him, as a woman who's supporting her man and trying to uplift him in any way she possibly can.
Right.
I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. I'll meet them. I didn't go out of my way to meet anybody. It was like, yeah, they said 2, tell them I'll be there, I'm on my way. It was like 2, I'm leaving now. I didn't,
okay.
It was like, yeah, what? I'm like, we're boring. What are they gonna film anyway?
Right.
Sure. Overall, I like it because I was able to just get the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of how I like things. I don't like anything to be sugar-coated for me.
Right.
I like it just hardcore in what it is, and let me make a decision because I get that life is up and down and
right.
It's raw. So that's how I like the information. I like to receive information in a very raw space.
Right.
So it allowed me to receive it in a very raw space.
Which you did.
You have to be careful what you ask for. I'm like, could you coat that a little bit? Is nobody gets grease, Crystal? Some can we coat the story in some way?
Finding out in the reunion that now she's pregnant.
Right.
What was that for you? And how does one even get through that?
I don't know. I think that's when I'm taking longer to process.
Right.
You know what? I don't have as much. Obviously, when there's another woman in your territory,
right?
You consider that a disease infesting
right.
your house. But in that moment, it was kind of like. Then I really had to start questioning, because at that moment I began to accept kind of maybe she didn't know certain things.
Right.
And maybe he did manipulate the situation because no man is going to go to a woman that he's possibly interested in saying, my household is amazing. She's
right.
amazing. I'm happy.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, any man who is trying to, not be faithful, he's going to go to whomever and say all of these negative things. But it's all about the action.
Right.
So if it is so unhappy, then why don't you just come to me solely? If it is this, why don't you just, it becomes like you have to look at the person's actions. At that moment, it was, now you know everything.
Right.
You know everything before
Right.
today, before then. You knew what the entire situation was before now. So it just kind of made me feel in some way like to her it was probably some type of, I don't want to say competition, but she made it very clear that she wants him and she's not letting go.
Right, right.
And, you know, that's just a can of worms and that she has to open and let time reveal to herself.
I remember specifically putting something on my Alyi V Daily Instagram, and the question was, why do people cheat? Why do you think people cheat?
I have to give you an answer that I was just talking to a cousin of mine, and so she said, she asked my father a long time ago why people cheat. And so she said that my father said that some men cheat because the other woman allows him to just be, no matter what.
Right.
If she has a completely sparkling white couch, her rug is completely white, and he walks in dirty from head to toe, like, what's his name from Charlie Brown? She doesn't say anything. She takes his dirty clothes off and lays them right on her white floor. She doesn't care. But that woman at home is constantly nagging, you know? And then, so my cousin asked him, but what if you don't do all those things and you allow him to just be, and
Right.
he still cheats? And he's like, oh, that's just a stupid motherfucker.
Okay.
All right, so in Peter's case, Peter and I were not in the best place because I expected more from him.
Do you ever feel, or did you ever feel like it was me? Because I know a lot of females that get cheated on. They're like, I did something wrong.
No,
It
I never
wasn't
thought
the-
that. Never.
Amen to that.
I never thought it was. I'm not saying I'm perfect in any way, shape,
Right.
or fashion. Like I was definitely in his hair about things. I was definitely bitching about stuff. Absolutely.
Now, life after Peter and the whole separation, what's that like for you?
Oh man, life after Peter. Well, first of all, I can't say that I'm completely over it and I'm just fine.
Right.
I have my days.
Which is very honest of you, and I do appreciate
I have my days.
that.
There are days where I'm like, where is the shotgun? And where's Peter Gunz?
And where's the shot?
Where's the shotgun? Where's Peter Gunz? Like I definitely have those days, but I literally, I'm just taking it one day at a time. I'm very honest with myself. When I feel like crying, I cry. I don't just suck it up. When I feel like telling a friend I still love this low down dirty motherfucker, I call my friend and say I still love this low down dirty motherfucker. And then the next day I wake up and I'm like, listen, like why? Like why am I putting myself through this? Because, you know, this person didn't understand the value that I had in his life, you know, to make these decisions. So today I'm okay.
What have you learned from the situation?
I learned that, and believe it or not, this was just last night.
Oh, okay.
I learned this, and I wrote it down. It was in the middle. I had written my first on a love letter, and when I finished that love letter, I discovered something about myself, and I was so far off track as to who I was and what I came here for that I had to literally be shoved to get back on track. It's like a train. You can't just place it if it's off track. You have to pick it up and put it on there.
Right.
So it was like, you know, it's like the universe shoving me back to where I needed to be. Like, wake up. You know what I mean? This is not your life, and you're accepting a lot of things because you think that it's okay, or you think that things will just go back to what you need it to be.
Right.
But you have to make it happen. So I was just shoved back on track, and I'm okay with that. Like, you know what I mean? I'm back on track or getting myself back on track. And this was like a big wake-up call for me personally.
To play devil's advocate on the situation, knowing that you've learned from the situation, but then Peter Gunz can say, "Well, I brought an opportunity to you. You're now on Love and Hip Hop.
Right.
You're doing interviews. You're getting booked for clubs."
He says it all the time.
You know, so what's your reaction to that? Because he did in some sort of way.
Yeah, he did. But you know, he could have brought me to the camera, and I could have backed away. I could have cried. I could have said, "I can't film anymore."
Right.
And then it would have been like, "Well, what do we have here?" Like, you know, 1/3 of our triangle can't function. So I said, "You knew you had a diamond in the rough when you brought me there."
I hear you.
So be thankful.
Do you feel like Love and Hip Hop helps you or hurts you when going on auditions?
I try not to allow it to hurt me when people kind of snap at me and they're like, you know, listen, we're just a small theater. There's no Hollywood stuff here. And I'm like, listen.
Like, we don't need Peter Gunz over here.
I interned at a theater that
Right.
ran out of money in the middle of a show, and everything that a machine was supposed to do, I did. So I kind of have to, you know, give people my my background a little bit so they know exactly where I'm coming from. And then I just don't take no for an answer. When people come in, they'll, well, you know, do you have an updated reel? I'm like, it doesn't matter about a reel. Meet me. Right. If you like me, you want to use me, use me. If not, then we go our separate ways.
Exactly.
That's no reason to tell me no.
And as far as acting, what do you have coming up?
Oh, coming up, well, the play that I did in Detroit last weekend, they are filming a pilot to that. I'll also be performing a different role in that play for Mother's Day. And that's like the immediate things coming up. So I'm still auditioning.
Another season of Love and Hip Hop, maybe?
Another season of Love and Hip Hop. We do hope. There's like paperwork, you know, there.
All right.
You know, we're finalizing that paperwork. And I'm still like, you know, until it's signed and we're filming, you know what I mean?
And you will still go into it wholeheartedly.
Wholeheartedly, absolutely.
How do people look at you now that you're on Love and Hip Hop? Do they feel bad? Do they like... What are some of the things? Because, I mean, obviously I read your comments.
Some of the cliche things that bother me are things when people say, like, well, you know, they compare my situation that I'm happening right now with a previous situation between Peter and I, which was completely different.
Right.
You know, we're talking about, you know, and then I don't like that. And I don't like people saying, well, she knew, you know, who would stay with a man for 13 years and cheat? I'm like, I don't know, because I didn't.
Right.
You know, these things these infidelities, or this infidelity was something that he kept very much so hidden, and still came home and functioned like we were fine.
And this is what a lot of females go through, honestly. It's so common, and and I feel like now it's more accepted. Like females will say, "Oh yeah, he's cheating on me. I know. It's cool."
As long as or like that stupidness, like as long as I don't know about it, I'm fine. I'm like, no. If I can discipline myself, and I say this to Peter, I'm like, Peter, being faithful is not something you're born with. It's a discipline that you choose to have. So you can choose to come home and be the man your family needs you to be, or you cannot.
In a perfect world, how would you like the situation to play out with everything, with acting, Peter, Amina, Love and Hip Hop?
I mean, the true goal of any actor is to have consistent work, because it's like one of those forever freelancing jobs.
Right.
So it's to have consistent work, work that's respected, and first of all, that would be amazing. In terms of Peter, I just want to find a place where I have forgiven him in a way that's not bitter, that allows us to be communicative for our children, perhaps, you know, even be friends.
Maybe,
you know,
possibility.
And listen, even through all of this, there are times, because he's a jokester, I'm a jokester, we laugh about things, and then the next day I'm like, oh, how dare you come over here and make me laugh and make me forget that I hate you right now? How dare you do that? But, I mean, you know, but...
were you disappointed in yourself? Because they say, like, there is no greater disappointment than the disappointment in yourself. So did you feel
there was a level of disappointment in me, because I was like, where was I when all this was going on? Like, was I in a dream world? Right. And then that's why I was like, no, I wasn't. I was working, doing what I had to do for my family, expecting the man in my life to be doing the same.
There was a quote that I once read that said, I don't take myself seriously, but I do take my work seriously. And I think that's so true. And I think for you, that may be true. Like, I feel the fact that you can talk about the situation and, you know, and just say to the world, hey, I'm not okay, but I'm figuring it out.
Right.
If you stick with me, great. If you don't, sorry for your troubles. I'm still going to act.
There's always another team for you to be on.
Exactly.
Thank God there are options.
I'm still going to act. I'm still going to do my thing. And the fact that, you know, and what I want people to see is your life, yes, it does consist of Peter Gunz, your children, but at the end of the day,
that's not all.
That's not all it is. I really want to thank you for, you know, stopping by and interviewing with us, because your story is inspiring. And, you know, I'm a fan of yours, and I will always support you in what you do. And, you know, as far as the acting, I really, really want to see more of you.
Thank you.
So, guys, you can follow her on Twitter, Instagram.
Yes. Taranasha W. Taranasha W. And not Taranasha. Who is that? She scares me. It sounds like a disease.
Oh my God.
Have you ever been plagued with a Taranasha ever?
And now, if she exists, she's gonna get offended.
Yes.
And you can follow me at AlyiV.com, Alyi V Daily, on Instagram for your celebrity news and media entertainment, and see more of Tara.
Tara Nasha. W.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Or TaraWallace.net. Yes,
Yes.
TaraWallace.net. Yes.
Follow her as well. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.